The Miami Heat have done it again. Second straight year, they claim the 8th seed with a victory.
By now, the Miami Heat have established themselves as nothing more than a mediocre regular season team, spearheaded by Jimmy Butler and his lackluster effort from October all the way to around the beginning of March, where he becomes stupidly locked in and prepares for the final stretch run. A 6-7 record to start this season might seem like nothing out of the ordinary for this group, but this era of Heat culture looks like it's drawing to a close this season based on some of the individual performances we've seen across the board with this team. For years, Miami has been a team built on grit, defense, and when it matters most, the leadership of one player, Jimmy Butler. But this season, the cracks in the foundation are becoming impossible to ignore. And with Butler in the last year of his deal, the pressure is on, one way or another, to give Pat Riley a reason to arise from his coma and make some decisions about the future of this roster. If you had told me back in September that the Heat would start off the season slow offensively, I wouldn't have even blinked. The Heat haven't had a top 10 offense since the 2019-20 season, back when the Dragon was still an elite option off the bench, and before Myers Leonard, well, you know. We all knew Miami wouldn't have an elite offense, but the performances from their core pieces this season have been downright appalling at times. Let's get this out of the way right now. Tyler Hero is looking like he's gone to a new level this season, and is perhaps the only reason we aren't comparing this team's offensive production to a team like the Wizards or the Trailblazers right now. But their supposed next three best players in Butler, Adebayo, and Rozier combined for a whopping 46 points per game, all on well below league average efficiency. While Bam shooting 40% from the field has felt more like a tough start than anything else, Butler's play this season suggests he is simply no longer the player he used to be. The regular season production and consistency has been waning ever since he arrived in Miami 5 years ago, but 17 points on 11 shots a game is the lowest output we've seen from Jimmy since the 2013-14 season back in Chicago, the year before he won Most Improved Player and became an All-Star. His minutes are also down under 33 minutes per game for the first time in over a decade. And Jimmy isn't just playing less and scoring less. While he's still one of the primary playmakers on this team, his assist-to-turnover ratio has dipped to its lowest point since he left Chicago 7 years ago. You also don't need to spend hours grinding tape to deduce that his defensive capabilities are not what they were, even from just a few seasons back. Across the board, Butler has regressed well below the All-NBA level talent that was able to carry these Miami teams to multiple finals appearances. We'll get more into Jimmy later, but I want to make sure Scary Terry doesn't get off easy here either. Miami moved on from Kyle Lowry and gave up a future first-rounder to bring him in last season, and he's failed to establish any sense of consistent presence in the half season's worth of games that he's played for them so far. There have been games where he shot the ball well, there have been games where he looks like the point guard that this team needs. He's even had his moments as an invaluable defensive piece for Spo, providing pesky point-of-attack defense on players much larger in stature. Yet all in all, his impact falls well short of what they were expecting from him, and quite frankly what they need to keep pace with the top teams in the East. With the supporting cast they have in place, Rozier has to be someone that they can rely on to generate offense from the perimeter. Beyond that, what has made the Heat so successful under Eric Spoelstra in recent years is their ability to unearth hidden gems, the undrafted players and undervalued veterans who could contribute on the fly. Usually when a team finds an under-the-radar contributor, they're able to keep him on a cost-controlled contract where they can grow into a larger role with the team. Miami, on the other hand, has had to watch numerous valuable contributors walk in free agency over the past few seasons due to the other large contracts on their cap sheet. In particular, the decision to commit $90 million to Duncan Robinson, which became Miami's one gamble on a diamond in the rough, has now turned into a franchise-altering misstep. That commitment essentially set the stage for a gradual unraveling of the Miami Heat's carefully constructed roster depth over the years. As Robinson's contract has eaten up valuable cap space, the Heat have found themselves unable to retain or attract the kind of hidden gems that they've relied on in previous seasons. The result? A roster that has become progressively thinner with the laundry list of names that have gone out the door. Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, Kendrick Nunn. These guys haven't all exactly gone on to become all-stars after leaving Miami, but these were nonetheless players that the Heat relied on to play important minutes for them throughout the season. Eventually, it becomes impossible to continue finding and developing these low-cost options that seamlessly plugged into their system, and they now face an ever-increasing challenge of piecing together a competent supporting cast. Even the best coaches can only piece together half a team from scratch each season for so long. The best coaches also apparently sometimes pull a Chris Webber and forget how many timeouts they have, but maybe I'm willing to give Spo a pass, given the completely underwhelming performances he's gotten from his players to start this season. What I can't give him a pass for is some of his decisions in regards to the rotation. Rookie of the Year finalist Jaime Jaquez continues to come off the bench this season, and is somehow getting less playing time than he received last year. We're seeing him struggle to generate the same quality of offense in this adjusted role, playing more with the second unit. With no one else getting real playing time off their bench that can support Triple J when it comes to creating easy offense, he's been set up for failure in year 2 after such a promising start to his career. Their most recent first-round pick, Khalil Ware, has seen his playing time go up and down as the season progresses, and they've yet to truly unleash him as their backup center, or even playing alongside Bam as many hopeful Heat fans had envisioned when they watched him excel during Summer League. The decision to not play a rookie big man heavy minutes early in the season is common practice in the NBA, but his size, athleticism, and energy would be a valuable presence for this team even as they play through his mistakes. Call me crazy, but I don't think we need to see Thomas Bryant getting more than double the amount of playing time as the 15th overall pick from this summer's draft. Due to the forgiving nature of the Eastern Conference right now, Miami could quickly right the ship and find themselves in the top 4 or 5 in the standings by Christmas. But another half-hearted postseason run where they have to fight through a play-in game or two just to get bounced in round 1 isn't going to cut it this time around. Pat Riley expressed his frustrations with the team publicly this offseason already, and it should come as no surprise if he decides to blow things up and reset the timeline for this team. Jimmy Butler has a player option next season worth $52 million, but given that he'll be 36 years old by then, he's wisely looking to secure one last big-time payday rather than settle for the short-term bag. Conversely, teams likely won't be falling over themselves to offer him north of 50 big ones a year over multiple seasons. He'll need to turn his season around in order to give any team the confidence to invest heavily in his services as he enters the back half of his 30s. Whether it's convincing Pat Riley to keep some semblance of this core together through the trade deadline for another postseason run, or another team who may see Butler as the final piece towards contention, it's now or never for Jimmy to reclaim his status as someone deserving of a max contract in the NBA. If he fails to do so, it leaves the Heat with little to no flexibility moving forward. This team clearly has no hope of being anything more than a play-in team without Jimmy Butler playing at his peak, but they also can't net back anything of value in a trade if he continues to play this way. Miami would then likely end up in a situation where Butler actually does accept his $52 million option, and they're forced to essentially run it back again next season after failing to make any noise in these upcoming playoffs. Miami's made the most of this core with 2 unexpected finals appearances in the past 4 seasons, but the future is more than uncertain right now. We all know how quickly things can change in the NBA, and just as well, we know that Pat Riley will be looking to make one more run at a title before he finally calls it quits one day in the not-so-distant future. Jimmy Butler's play the rest of the season will force Riley's hand one way or another in making some tough decisions about the future of the Miami Heat franchise.